was working in Middle East, all the country in Middle East, and of course everybody know, and a lot of Filipino there work there.
It's like you're in mini Manila.
Yeah, mini Manila, right? Yes. Sí, Pablo.
Loro, cuando quieras, son las 3, podemos empezar y...
Bueno.
Vincent, listen, right now I'm talking in Spanish, and then Carlos will be translating for you, okay? Because a lot of people ask for you, okay?
Thank you.
Bueno, buenas tardes a todos. Hoy es un día bastante especial porque tenemos un invitado de lujo que nada más y nada menos que Vincent Reyes, que es el entrenador filipino que en su país es una eminencia y una estrella de su país por todo lo que representa el básquet filipino. Quiero comentarles además, previo a entrar a la charla, que el fin de semana, o sea, sábado y domingo, vamos a tomarnos un descanso este fin de semana para planificar bien la próxima y para ver a ver qué invitados podamos ya concertar, siempre sabiendo que el día martes es la mesa redonda, la cual nos gustaría que participen todos, porque se está poniendo muy buena la charla de la mesa redonda. Así que dicho esto, entonces, bueno, les quiero presentar a Vincent y Loro. Bueno, welcome to this time, Vincent.
Thank you. My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me. It's an honor to be here.
Okay. So we want to say thank you, of course, and more because everybody know in Filipina it's at 2 a.m. and I explained some of our friends when I ask you, and I say, but the problem is the time. Immediately you say, no problem for me. So that show which and how big is the love you have for our game.
Yep, no problem. Anytime I can share my thoughts with fellow coaches, it's always a pleasure.
Bueno, Carlos, te lo entregamos, Carlos.
Well, gracias, Loro, gracias, Pablo. Coach, it's a pleasure for me to be talking with such a legend in basketball as you are. And our first question will be for the people that don't know about your trajectory. If you can give us a little bit of your background in basketball coaching.
Oh, yeah. I started very early in my basketball coaching career, even while I was still in college. I was still studying in the university, and I was already coaching in what we call the high school basketball team here in our school. And I was playing at the same time in the college, and I was coaching in the high school because it was a way for me to make a little bit of money, to make some, to earn income, livelihood, very early age, because I was a working student. I had to basically work my way through college and then have my scholarship in basketball to go to school. And so that's where it started. That's why after graduation, I worked a little bit in a corporation, but you know, I felt that I wanted to continue basketball, and so I got an offer to coach in the commercial leagues until I got an opportunity to coach the top collegiate tournaments. And then I got invited by Tim Cohn, who's still coaching up to today, to be an assistant in the professional leagues. That was my start. So my first job as a professional coach in the Philippine Basketball Association, the PBA, was when I was 29 years old. So that's why I say I started very early in coaching.
Le pregunté al coach sobre un poquito de su historia como entrenador, ¿no? Y nos estaba hablando de que empezó muy temprano, porque cuando él estaba en la universidad, dirigía el equipo de la secundaria, la preparatoria o la high school, para ayudarse con los pagos de los estudios, porque él era un estudiante que trabajaba al mismo tiempo, así que comenzó temprano dirigiendo ese equipo de la high school. Luego, por un tiempo, trabajó en una corporación, pero su amor por el básquetbol lo hizo que empezara a dirigir en una liga comercial. Luego pasó a ser asistente en la liga profesional y ya a los 29 años estaba dirigiendo en la PBA, la PBA, que es la liga, una de las ligas profesionales de allá de Filipinas. Coach, how about your philosophy as a coach? What are the things that you, the objectives that you have usually, and the things that prioritize about your coaching?
Because we are the Philippines, we are we're not really fit for basketball. We're a very short people. We are. It is very hard to explain because basketball, it is not our number one sport. It is our religion almost in the Philippines. But we should not be playing this sport because we are very short. We have no size. We're a very short people. So that's why my philosophy is revolving around our size. So my philosophy really is small ball. We were playing small ball in the Philippines way before the Golden State Warriors played small ball in the NBA. Not because I thought about it, but because it was a necessity. There was no other way for us to play. We tried to and match up with the other teams in size, only in Asia, not even in the world level, just in Asia. But we couldn't match up with China, Iran, and even Japan and Korea with size. So I said, forget size. The only way we can compete in Asia and in fact in the world is with our speed and with our outside shooting. So my philosophy is built around the strengths of the Filipino player, which is really our ability which is really built on our speed and our outside shooting and our ball handling, our ability to break down to break down the defense. So that's where my philosophy is around speed, spacing, quickness, outside shooting.
Sí, le pregunté sobre su filosofía como entrenador y el coach Reyes dice que es algo bastante difícil de explicar en las Filipinas porque el baloncesto no es el deporte número uno, es el 1, 2, 3, 4, es una religión, dice él, pero aún así es un país que no estaría hecho para jugar al básquetbol porque la estatura media es muy baja y que ellos tenían siempre problemas cuando jugaban, no a nivel mundial, a nivel asiático ya, jugando contra equipos como China, Irán, hasta el mismo Japón y Corea, eran equipos mucho más altos que ellos. Así que él dice que él inventó el small ball mucho antes de que Golden State lo jugara. ¿Por qué? Por necesidad. Sus equipos eran tan bajos en estatura que tenían que hacerlo todo con velocidad, con tiro exterior, con buen manejo del balón, con espacio. Así que ya en Filipinas se jugaba el small ball antes de que fuera una moda en la NBA.
Carlos, a mí me hizo asustar un poco cuando dijo que en Filipinas no era el deporte número uno. Digo, me cambiaron el libreto. Entonces, la pregunta es, si es real que no existe otro deporte de conjunto en Filipinas que no sea el baloncesto, por un lado, y por otro, es como un poco raro que en un país donde no hay tamaño de jugadores, el deporte que sea una religión es el baloncesto. ¿En función de qué él cree que pasa eso?
Yeah, Coach, Daniel is asking, first of all, if it's true that there are no other sports, team sports in the Philippines, and that is very strange that in a country that has people that are not that tall, that basketball is the main sport. Why do you think this happens?
We've asked ourselves that question a lot of times. there are a lot of sports in the Philippines, a lot of team sports, but really, for some reason, football is not so popular in the Philippines. Although our national team is starting to really go up in the standings here, but we're not even the top team in Southeast Asia, let alone Asia in football. So in team sports, the most popular here after basketball right now, I would say, is volleyball, women's volleyball, and then we're pretty good worldwide in Little League baseball and softball, and then like I said, football. But other than that, they're very, very, very far from basketball in terms of popularity. I guess the reason why is in history, the sport was brought in by the Americans, and the Philippines has a very big American influence. We were under Spanish rule for a long time. We were under American rule for a long time, but for some reason, basketball stayed with us from that American influence. And I think it is because basketball allows us to be, the Filipinos were very creative. I think basketball gives us that outlet to play the game in a very creative manner. And it is, when we say the Filipino style of basketball, we are very demonstrative. It's a lot of flashy moves, flamboyant moves, the Filipino style. So I think basketball gives the Filipino a chance to express our artistry, if you will call that a creativity or our artistry. That's why basketball is really the one that got the imagination of Filipinos from way, way back.
Bueno, dice el coach que se han hecho ellos mismos esa misma pregunta por mucho tiempo, que sí hay otros deportes de conjuntos en Filipinas como el fútbol, pero que el fútbol, a pesar de que ha ido subiendo, ni siquiera en el sureste asiático es uno de los mejores exponentes Filipinas. Ellos sí le va muy bien en voleibol de mujeres, y que el béisbol y el baloncesto también es un deporte de conjunto bastante popular, pero que esos deportes están muy, muy lejos del baloncesto, que el baloncesto comenzó cuando lo trajeron los americanos en los años, a principios del siglo XX, y que Filipinas estuvo bajo la hegemonía española y luego de la hegemonía americana, pero que se han adaptado muchas costumbres americanas, y que propiamente el baloncesto es un deporte muy creativo y que los filipinos son creativos, y el estilo de juego de un filipino es bastante demostrativo, es elegante, es de una capacidad artística bastante grande. El baloncesto provee para todo eso, y por eso él piensa que esa es la razón por la que ha sido tan aceptado por los filipinos.
Carlos, le podés preguntar a CHOT cómo es la estructura del básquet filipino, es decir, cuántas categorías hay, cuántos estadios hay, si se juega en todo el país, si juegan divisiones menores, formativas, que nos cuente un poco cómo es el básquet en general de Filipinas.
Yes, Coach. Pablo wants to know about the structure of basketball in the Philippines in terms of the different divisions that you play, the different leagues that you have. I know that you have a couple of professional leagues. The stadiums, the stadiums where you play at, the gyms and all that, and if you have minor divisions for kids and for the youth to develop as basketball players.
Wow. First of all, we play basket. There is no basketball season in the Philippines because we play basketball the whole year round from January to December. There is no off season. The PBA, we play 3 conferences, 3 tournaments. So each tournament is about 3.5 months each. And so the break is maybe half a month or maybe 1 month only. The professional league plays the whole year round. And then throughout the year, there is, aside from the professional league, like you say, there's two professional leagues. One is like a kind of a semi-professional league, which has more teams and more towards the provinces, because the main professional league is centered here in Manila, is based in Manila. And then there is like the MPBL, which is like another professional league, but that mostly in the provinces. And that has 30 teams now, about 30 teams. And then there is also, just like in the NBA, the D League or the G League, there's a semi-pro league. So that's on that level. After that, there is a collegiate tournament. And of course, the major collegiate tournaments are here in Manila, but every province all over the country, they have their own NCAA, their own version of the NCAA of collegiate basketball. And then there is high school basketball, there is elementary grade school basketball, there is small basketball, there is all over from almost from about 6 years, 7 years old. There is you can play competitive, organized competitive basketball all the way until growing up here in the Philippines. So the grassroots system is very strong. That system is very strong from the provinces all the way up to the professional level.
Coach, and going back to the different arenas that you have, stadiums for the professional league, what's the capacity of the stadium, for instance?
Well, we have the biggest stadium here, which is just about very near to Manila, is a 50,000 seater, and we played a game already there for the PBA, and we filled that to 55,000 capacity. So that's the biggest. But there is the main stadium that the PBA, the professional league, plays in Manila, is a 20,000 seater. So there are about two 20,000 seater stadiums. And then there is almost every province has its own stadium, but maybe 5,000 to 6,000 seating capacity only. The smaller provinces maybe 3,000, but every main province all over the country has a stadium. It's almost a must for every province to have a stadium. So everywhere you go in the Philippines, you will find a stadium, and generally it's about a 5,000 seater stadium. But the main stadiums that we play in for the big time college basketball and professional league is the 20,000 seater.
Okay. Varias cosas aquí para traducir. Primero, en el baloncesto de Filipinas no hay temporada baja. Se juega los 12 meses del año, se juega desde enero hasta diciembre. La PBA, que es la liga principal, se juegan 3 torneos de 3 meses cada uno, siempre quizás un mes de descanso entre los torneos, por lo tanto se está jugando PBA todo el tiempo. Hay 2 ligas profesionales. La PBA se juega en las provincias y tiene unos 30 equipos. Y también hay ligas semiprofesionales, que son unas ligas de desarrollo muy parecidas a la liga de desarrollo de la NBA. Luego vienen los torneos universitarios de provincia, también los torneos de escuela secundaria, de escuela primaria. Dice que el sistema de categorías formativas es muy bueno, que se juega mucho a nivel formativo y que se puede estar jugando competitivamente desde los 6 o los 7 años. Y luego, en cuanto a los estadios, se inauguró hace poco uno cerca de Manila, en el que caben de 50,000 a 55,000 espectadores. De hecho, tuvieron un partido de la PBA y lo llenaron con 55,000 espectadores. Luego tienen uno grande en Manila, que se juegan casi todos los torneos importantes, donde hay 20,000 espectadores, caben en ese. Y luego cada provincia tiene su estadio con capacidad para 5,000 a 6,000. Las más pequeñas pueden tener hasta 3,000 espectadores, pero en todas las provincias hay un buen estadio para jugar al baloncesto.
Bueno, nos dejó sin palabras, ¿no? Me parece.
Sí. Él fue el entrenador de la selección de Filipinas que clasificó para el Campeonato del Mundo y jugó el Campeonato del Mundo. Y en ese campeonato del mundo le tocó jugar con Argentina. Y el juego fue un juego muy cerrado.
Con nosotros
Yo no sé si
también.
todos se acuerdan que creo que Argentina ganó por 4 puntos o por 6 puntos.
Sí.
¿Cuál es la sensación que él tuvo de jugar contra, entre comillas, una potencia? Porque Argentina ya estaba como una potencia del mundo y haber estado tan cerca. ¿Y qué cree que le puede haber faltado a Filipinas para haber derrotado a Argentina?
Coach, Daniel is asking about the World Tournament in Spain in 2014, where you were the coach and you played the Argentinian team very close, losing by between 4 or 6 points. What was your impression of playing against a top team like Argentina and being so close to winning? And what do you think that your team lacked in that game that you were not able to win that game?
First of all, I have a very high respect for Argentine basketball. In fact, I went there in Buenos Aires in 2002 to visit. That was the year Argentina won the Olympic gold. Am I right?
2004.
Oh, 2004. Yeah. I'm sorry, 2004. I went there in January before you won it, before Argentina won it, because I already saw in the run-up in 2002, 2003 that you were playing, that this team was playing very well in the world level. And so I had a chance to visit to get to know Bernardo Murphy. I don't know if anyone here knows him. And I watched the practice because I wanted to find out what's going on in Argentina, that this football nation is suddenly making a mark in the world competition. So I have a very, very high respect for Argentine basketball. And then, so when we played Argentina, of course, everybody knew at the time how high the level was. Number 3 in the world. So we approached that game with a very high respect for the players, especially Scola was there, and Herman and Prigioni, all these players. And I respected very much your coach as well. The time was, I think was Julio Lamas in 2004, right? So we really fully expected, because we had a couple of good games already before that. We took Croatia to overtime, and then we lost to Greece by about 9 or 10 points. But that was our third game in 3 days, and we were fighting for our lives to get to the next level of the World Cup. But that was the Argentina game, was really the game that we were looking at for a long time, that we were preparing for a long time, because of our, it was a very big, it was a very big thing for our players, the motivation to play against the NBA players and to play against the number 3 in the world. This was the game we took a look, which will be our benchmark, which will be the measure for the Philippines if we are ready to compete in the world level. So I thought we came up with a good game plan that allowed us to start very strong, have a nice lead. But of course, Argentina being Argentina, they came back and took a 15-point lead against us, I think, into the third quarter. And still, we came back in the fourth quarter. We had the ball in our hands to win the game, but we were not able to get a good shot. And to answer your question, I think we were able to compete because, and this was Prigioni himself told one of the Philippine sports writers, and also the post-game interview, the coach Lama said it himself, that they couldn't figure out what we were doing, that we were doing things that they've never seen before. And I think that was our strength. We were very, very unpredictable. We don't call plays. We don't have any sets. We have no That's why I say, how can the opponent scout us? How can they know what we will do? We don't even know what we will do when we come down on offense. So how can the other team prepare for us? So
I remember, Coach, you score near to 50% in 3-point in this game.
Yes, because that's the only way we can compete. We thought in the World Cup, and like I said, it was a very different kind of basketball. I guess that we kept the Argentine team always off balance. But in the end, why we fell short? Because we really lacked the experience. So we lacked the experience to when we had the ball in our hands, one possession, we were down by 2 points. It was our ball with like 20 seconds left in the game. I thought we lacked the experience to close it out. It's the same thing with Croatia. It's the same thing against Greece. The same thing the next game against Puerto Rico. We just lack the experience. I think that's number one. And number two, and I say this in all honesty, I think as a coach, I had a shortcoming because we were not able to get a good shot. My belief in coaching, as a coach, our job as coaches is to get our players a good shot, to get them the best shot possible. Making the shot, that's our players' job. But our job as coaches is to get a good shot for our team, for our players. And I think in that final possession, we were not able to get a good shot. So that's on me. That's on the coach. And that goes to also my inexperience, my first time to be coaching in that level, I guess. All of these things, you put it together, was the reason why we competed, we fought till the end, but we were not able to close it out. So I guess it was the inexperience.
Muy bien, una respuesta muy buena, muy larga, pero muy buena. Dice que tiene mucho respeto por el baloncesto argentino y que en el 2004, antes de que fueran a Atenas a ganar la medalla de oro, ya él había visitado en enero de ese año Buenos Aires para ver prácticas, porque le llamaba la atención que una nación futbolera hubiese dado los pasos que estaba dando en ese momento en el baloncesto, que estaba en número 13 en el mundo. Así que tienen mucho respeto, alto respeto por el baloncesto argentino, que conocía a los jugadores que estaban en la NBA, que conocía de Scola, de Prigioni, que respetaba mucho a Julio Lamas y que esperaba que fuera un buen juego, preparándose para ese partido. Esperaba que fuera un buen juego porque ya le habían jugado muy bien a Croacia, que habían ido a prórroga, a tiempo suplementario. Con Grecia también habían jugado bien, pero que se habían preparado por mucho tiempo para ese partido y estaban bien motivados porque era una medida para ellos. Si podían llegar a enfrentar a un equipo de tan alto nivel y competir de tú a tú, era una gran medida, que en ese partido comenzaron muy bien ellos, pero que de ahí Argentina, como se esperaba, mejoró su juego. Entraron al último cuarto Argentina con ventaja de 15 puntos y aún así el equipo pudo regresar porque se mantuvieron compitiendo todo el tiempo y que tanto Prigioni como Julio Lamas en la entrevista post partido dijeron que le plantearon cosas que ellos nunca habían visto y para las cuales no estaban preparados. Y dice jocosamente el coach que cómo es posible que los otros equipos nos puedan escautear y prepararse si nosotros mismos a veces no sabemos ni lo que estamos haciendo por la forma como jugamos. Pero piensa que la razón principal por la que se perdió ese partido, como se perdieron otros, como menciona a nuestro equipo de Puerto Rico, menciona a Croacia y a Grecia, fue por falta de experiencia y que en este partido específicamente que tuvieron la pelota con 20 segundos por 2 puntos abajo, no pudieron ejecutar en el momento final y aquí dice que honestamente él se echa la culpa porque como técnico joven en este ambiente, porque no había dirigido a nivel mundial previamente, él debió haber tenido algo para conseguirle un buen disparo, una buena oportunidad de tiro a sus jugadores y no lo hizo. Que la responsabilidad del coach es conseguirle buenos tiros a sus jugadores, la responsabilidad del equipo, de los jugadores, es encestar ese tiro, pero que el equipo por falta de experiencia y de ejecución no pudo tomar ese último disparo y por eso se le escapó el partido contra Argentina.
Decirle, Carlos, me gustaría que le digas que hasta ahora yo tenía un gran respeto por él y que después de lo que dijo, ese respeto ahora es inmenso, porque no es fácil que un entrenador diga lo que él dijo, que la responsabilidad de que no hayan tomado un buen tiro era por él. Así que mis respetos se van hasta el cielo.
Yeah, Coach, Daniel is saying that he already respected you as a great coach, but after what you just said, he respects all the way to heaven, because it's not easy for a coach and not usual for a coach to say, okay, I blame myself for not being able to execute. So after you said that, Daniel respects you much more than he already respected you before.
Thank you, Daniel. I think for me, the sense of pride in that game was when Julio Lamas himself in the interview said, we could not figure out what the Philippines was trying to do. He said it himself, you know, the coach was always doing different things. So that gave me a big sense of pride, but still we lost the game. So, you know.
Lo que le dio realmente un sentido de orgullo al coach fue cuando Julio en la conferencia dijo que no pudieron descifrar qué era lo que le estaban haciendo, que el coach cambió muchas cosas y que eso le dio cierto sentido de orgullo, pero de todas maneras no pudieron ganar el partido, que era lo que ellos querían hacer. Coach, I will have to ask you a question for myself, because I was there as an assistant coach for Puerto Rico in that, and so we played you guys.
Yeah.
And it was a tough game also.
Yes.
The combination of having the big guy,
Blatch.
Blatch, and the shooters that you had, that was very difficult to maneuver, because either we were putting pressure on your shooters, but then Blatch could do a lot of damage inside. And if we were double teaming or triple teaming Blatch, he was a good passer and he could pass the ball out. So was the system idealized to take advantage of having Blatch on the court?
Yes, we were playing 5 out essentially. It was 5 out. When I started my first time to coach the national team in 2007, we were trying to do the regular things, you know, screening. We tried triangle offense, all of these other stuff, but it wasn't working because we had the very poor size. For example, our power forward is 6'4". I don't know what is that in meters. He's 6'4". He screens for our shooter, who's 6'2". But the guy who's guarding our shooter, who's 6'2", is 6'5". So when he switches, the guard is just the same size as our power forward, as the big man. So we don't get any advantages on screens. So we said, forget the screening. Let's just open it up and let's beat our man with our strength with the dribble. Little did I know in 2007 that was a dribble drive. We didn't call it dribble drive then. We had nothing. We had no name for it. We just called it, you know, our open style of basketball. But then we found dribble drive, and that's what we tried. We used the dribble drive. We studied it. We went to the US to coach Vance Wahlberg himself. And then we made a Philippine style of dribble drive, which is more 5 out. And that's why you had a problem, because you don't know where to put your big guy.
Right.
If you put him on our 7-footer on Andre Blatch, and Andre Blatch is playing outside in the perimeter, sometimes he's even being the one initiating the offense. So you have a problem, you know, defensively in that sense. So yes, that was by design. And like I was saying, we were doing things that you don't normally see. We were playing 2-point guards, 3-point guards. When the other team would go big, we would go smaller. You know, we started off already small. And then if you go big, instead of trying to match up to your size, we would go even smaller. Because there's no way for us to match your size anyway. Except for our 1 7-footer, for Andre Blatch, who was playing outside in the perimeter. So it was by design, really, that we played a 5-out offense that I thought was something that, you know, that was very rarely seen in the world basketball at that time.
Sí, le pregunté porque yo tuve la oportunidad de estar en el banquillo de Puerto Rico para ese torneo y jugamos precisamente después del partido contra Argentina. Filipinas se enfrentó a nosotros y se nos hizo bien difícil. El técnico Paco Olmos, este servidor y los demás asistentes no sabíamos cómo lidiar con esa ofensiva de 4 perimetrales y Blatch, que aparte de que podía jugar adentro, dice el coach, jugábamos con 5 afuera, porque Blatch, tenía la habilidad para sacar al pivot contrario. Y nosotros habíamos probado otras formas clásicas de jugar, como la ofensiva triangular, como ofensiva de bloqueos y de cortinas para liberar tiradores, pero no nos funcionaba porque nuestro ala pivot medía 1.93, le ponía un bloqueo a la escolta de 1.85, los equipos cambiaban y eso no funcionaba para nada. Así que teníamos una ofensiva de drible y penetración que le llamaban, que antes en Estados Unidos le llamaban dribble drive motion. Nosotros la teníamos antes de que existiera el dribble drive motion. Fuimos a Estados Unidos, vimos alguna forma de jugar y luego diseñamos nuestra propia forma de drible y penetración, decía el coach, y utilizando a Blatch como quinto jugador en el perímetro. El jugador de 2.13 o 2 metros 10 del equipo contrario tenía que salirle a Blatch y eso era muy difícil porque no están acostumbrados para jugar ahí. Aparte de eso, empezábamos con 2 bases muchas veces y llegábamos a jugar hasta con 3 bases. Contrario a lo que hacen otros equipos que tratan de parear estatura, si tú te me ibas más alto, dice el coach, yo me iba más bajo todavía. Y esas eran las cosas que hacían un poquito raro nuestra forma de jugar y que le daban tanto problema a los equipos. Coach, that's very interesting what you just said. That's very, very interesting that you could go even smaller and give so much problems to other teams.
We wanted to put you in uncomfortable situations. So you notice our guards, they're not always up in the front. Sometimes they'll be in the corners. And then we will put your big guys defending up in the top of the key, in the perimeter where they're not used to be. So, so you know, I thought that was our only way to be able to compete, to put the other team in uncomfortable situations.
O sea que el lema, la meta era poner al equipo contrario en situaciones que no se sintieran cómodos, donde el pivot tuviera que salir a defender arriba, donde tuvieran que salir a defender a las esquinas, cosas que ellos que usualmente por la posición que juegan no estaban acostumbrados a hacer. Pablo.
Sí, me gustaría que User, no sé quién es, que hizo una pregunta aquí, levante el micrófono y te la haga vos, Carlos. User, ¿podés hablar, por favor? ¿Podés sacar el micrófono? User, acá pregunta, dice, a ver, User, no está. Acá dice si Kai Soto, que estuvo acá en Argentina en el Mundial U17, ahora firmó para la G-League, y si es 1 en 1 millón o hay chicos, más chicos que son altos también.
¿Cómo se llama el jugador, por favor?
Kai Soto.
Kyle Soto.
Kai Soto.
They're asking about Kyle Soto.
Yeah.
That was in Argentina playing on a under 17 tournament.
Yes.
And now he's signed for the G League. If this, I presume that he's a tall player because they're asking if you have other tall players coming up or if this is 1 in a million situation.
1 in a million. It's a 1 in a million situation, but we are finding a lot more, I guess, taller players now, the young generation. So Kai Soto is there. He's a 7'2". We have another Filipino who was born in London, and he's now going to college in the US. His name is AJ Edu. He played there in Argentina with Kai, 6'10". So these two, I think, are the future for Philippine basketball. But more than the tall guys, we're now finding good size in the wing size, because that was the problem before with Philippine basketball. Our shooters, our wing players, 6'1", 6'2", but now we are finding some Filipinos who are now 6'4", 6'5", 6'6" on the wings. So I think that's important for us. If we can get the wings to that size, that level, then I think that's the and still retain our speed and our quickness and our shooting. That's very important, and that's why we sent Kai to the US now to play there, because he has no competition here. He will not get better here in the Philippines, and it was very difficult for us to let him go. But if we are going to think long term, for Kai to improve, he has to be competing against players of his size every single day. Because here at the level he was playing in high school, he was playing players against him this tall only. So he was just developing bad habits. He was not improving. He was not improving here. So that the only way for him to improve was to really send him away.
Coach, un jugador que a mí me impresionó, decirle Carlos, en el torneo mundial sub-17, aparte de Kai Soto, obviamente, fue Tamayo.
Yeah.
That's
the wingman. The wingman I was saying, that's tall, about 6'6", but plays the wings. So yeah.
Where is him?
¿Dónde está?
He's here.
Oh, okay. Dice el coach que Kai Soto sí es uno en 1,000,000, porque mide 2,15 metros, y que también tiene otro muchacho, AJ Elvin, que está en colegio en Estados Unidos, que mide 2,8 metros de ese mismo equipo. Tamayo, al que se refiere Pablo, es un alero, y es lo que están buscando ellos, más que jugadores pivots altos, que los aleros sean más altos, porque en el pasado jugadores que jugaban la posición de 2 y de 3 medían 1,85, 1,88, y que hoy día están viendo jugadores jóvenes de 1,98 a 2 metros, y que eso es lo que están tratando de desarrollar, y por ahí viene el caso de Tamayo. En el caso de Kai Soto menciona el coach que ellos querían que se fuera a Estados Unidos, porque jugando en el nivel de high school en Filipinas no iba a mejorar mucho, los jugadores no le llegaban ni siquiera al hombro y estaba desarrollando malos hábitos, así que era importante que pudiera salir a una competencia donde se esté enfrentando a jugadores de su estatura.
Pablo, tenés el micrófono cerrado, Pablo.
Yo le quería preguntar a CHOT si en la liga profesional existen los entrenadores extranjeros y si no es así, si en las ligas universitarias tienen influencia los entrenadores extranjeros y de qué nacionalidad hay.
Yeah, Coach, Pablo is asking about foreign coaches. If you have foreigners coaching in the professional league or in the college league, and if you have foreign coaches, what nationalities are mainly them from?
When I was coaching the national team, I got as my assistant Coach Tab Baldwin of New Zealand, and because I thought that he would be the one to take my place when I retired from coaching, and so he took over now. He stayed here in the Philippines. He's coaching in the college league, and he's an assistant in the professional league. It is not allowed. It is officially not allowed by the Basketball Coaches Association of the Philippines for foreigners to coach in the professional ranks, because there is only 12 teams, so they want to preserve that for the Filipino coaches. But there are foreign coaches who have the title consultant, but they're actually the coach, but they're officially not. Except we have two Americans, Tim Cohn and Norman Black, who are residents here for a long time. They've been here their whole lives already, practically. So they're like locals already. They've stayed here for more than 30 years already. So you know they are coaching in the professional ranks. So there's very few foreign coaches in the Philippines. There are several, but very few.
Ok, dice el coach que Todd Baldwin fue asistente del coach porque él lo veía como Todd Baldwin es de Nueva Zelanda, lo veía como su sucesor y se quedó a cargo del equipo nacional, y Todd es asistente en la liga profesional porque dice que la asociación de entrenadores no permite a entrenadores extranjeros en los dos equipos. La liga solamente tiene 2 equipos y quieren guardarle los cupos de head coach, de entrenador principal, a los locales, pero que sí tienen a Baldwin como asistente y que tienen varios entrenadores extranjeros que tienen el título de consultores y que básicamente lo que hacen es que supervisan el trabajo de los entrenadores locales, pero que tienen también un par de entrenadores que sí son head coaches, son entrenadores principales en la liga profesional, pero que son estadounidenses que llevan 30 años viviendo en Filipinas y que ya los ven como locales.
Y la pregunta sería, Carlos, ¿cuál es su opinión? No sé, por ejemplo, el entrenador nacional de España es italiano, ¿sí? Entonces, entrenadores de distintos países. La globalización ha hecho que, ¿cuál es su opinión? Siendo un referente máximo en el baloncesto de Filipinas, si eso no es perjudicial al crecimiento del básquet de Filipinas.
Yeah, Coach, Daniel is asking about, in these modern times of globalization, we see that the Spain national team coach is an Italian. And what's your personal opinion about this rule? If this is not something that is going to affect the improvement on the basketball in the Philippines, not allowing head coaches to be foreigners?
Well, that's a rule in the PBA. That's a private league. But in the national team, there's no. It is allowed. In fact, the program director right now, as I mentioned, is Tab Baldwin, and the last tournament in the FIBA Asia qualifiers, they chose an American to coach, Mark Dickel. So, American and Kiwi, New Zealand. And I think they're looking at several European coaches as well for the national team. So there is no impediment towards that for the national team. But in the professional league, they have their own rules because that's the pros. So I cannot speak to that situation. But for the rest, for the entire Philippine, the national team, it is allowed.
Sí, dice que esto solamente afecta en la liga profesional, que son 2 equipos, una liga cerrada, una liga privada, y tienen esa regla y él no puede ir en contra de ella ni hablar sobre eso, pero básicamente que todo lo demás está abierto, tan es así que el programa de selecciones nacionales lo dirige un extranjero, que tuvieron otro coach extranjero, estadounidense y neozelandés, Mark Dickel, a quien conozco personalmente, estuvo a cargo de los equipos, y que él no piensa que esté cerrado, porque solamente es en esa liga, en esos 12 planteles, que no puede haber un head coach extranjero. Que ha mirado a
sí,
coaches europeos también, que han comenzado a llegar también a Filipinas.
Carlos, ¿la PBA se juega con reglas NBA o reglas FIBA?
How do you play the PBA league, with FIBA rules or NBA rules?
Combination. It is only lately that they're playing now more FIBA rules, because before it was almost entirely NBA, and that was not helping the national team.
Yes, that's
after
the point.
A while, now the professional league is more and more going towards FIBA. So just a very few rules now that are more NBA than FIBA. So more and more the professional league is going towards FIBA.
Dice que hay una combinación de reglas, y que en el pasado prácticamente se jugaba con reglas NBA. Eso afectaba a los equipos nacionales porque no estaban practicando con reglas FIBA, pero que cada vez se mueven más hacia las reglas FIBA, y que hay una combinación de reglas. Coach, I wanted to ask you about the rule that you used to have in the PBA. I don't know if you have it anymore, about the limit of height. Only about 6'6" was the limit, I think, for foreigner. What was that about, and do you still have that rule?
Yeah, like I said, there are 3 conferences per season. There are 3 tournaments. One tournament is all Filipinos, no foreigners allowed. One tournament is like a 6'6" or 6'8" height, or sometimes they make it 6'4". They play around with that height. And then one tournament is unlimited. So you can have 7-footers, 6'10", whatever you want. So just to give a different flavor, a different twist to the competition. And they don't want there to be too many foreigners, so that they don't take the job of the Filipino players as well, and so that it will still be mostly Filipinos playing. So they play around with the height limits in the different conferences. But one tournament has to be, the most prestigious tournament is the All Filipino.
Okay. Tienen la liga PBA, como él había mencionado anteriormente, tiene 3 torneos al año, básicamente de 3 meses cada uno. Pero el primer torneo se juega solamente con filipinos, solo filipinos. El segundo torneo tienen extranjeros con un límite de estatura que van jugando con ese límite de estatura. En ocasiones ha sido hasta 2 metros, 2 metros 3, en ocasiones ha sido 1,96, en ocasiones ha sido 1,93, y juegan con eso usualmente. Y luego tienen un tercer torneo donde no hay límite de estatura ninguno, donde el extranjero puede medir 2 metros 13 o 2 metros 15, y esos son los 3 torneos. Pero dice que el más prestigioso, el más que abarca, es el que juegan con puros filipinos.
Carlos, la pregunta va, los jugadores filipinos locales, que son jugadores de selección, obviamente en un país donde el baloncesto es número 1 y donde las canchas van 20.000 personas o 25.000 personas o hasta 50.000, ¿son jugadores que ganan mucho dinero? Esa es una pregunta. La fama la tienen, son muy famosos seguramente.
We know that the players that play on the national team are very famous in a country that basketball is number 1 and where you have so many people following, where 20,000, 25,000 people can go to a game, even 50,000 people, as you just mentioned before. So they are very famous. They have the fame. Do they have the money too? Do they make a lot of money?
For Philippine standards, yes, they're very well paid by Philippine standards. Yeah.
Para los estándares de vida de Filipinas se les paga muy, muy bien, dice.
Pero muchos jugadores tienen el talento a lo mejor para jugar fuera de Filipinas, porque indudablemente si juegan en la selección nacional y compiten con Croacia, compiten con Grecia, compiten con Puerto Rico, compiten con Argentina, podrían jugar en otras ligas y no se los ve. Es decir, para el estándar de Filipinas ganan mucho dinero, pero es decir, no ganarían más dinero, no se van porque tienen tanta pasión por jugar en Filipinas, o el dinero que ganan en Filipinas es equivalente al que podrían ganar en Europa, por ejemplo, o en otro lado.
Daniel is talking about the players that you have on the national team. They have the talent to play everywhere, anywhere, elsewhere. Like if you play against Greece or you play against Croatia or Puerto Rico and you do well, those players are going to become famous outside of the Philippines, and somebody may have interest in them and signing them. Why do they stay in the Philippines? Is the case that they have so much passion for Philippine basketball, or the money that they make is such that they don't need to go elsewhere?
That's a good question. Several of our players have been getting offers, mostly from Asian teams, not really from European teams, but from China, for example, from Taipei, from Japan, they've been getting offers. But in China, definitely the money was much better than in the Philippines. But overall, I guess the environment, just being away, being with their families, and the culture, the Chinese culture is very, very different from Philippine culture. It's not easy to be, to get acclimatized to that kind of culture. For what I know, that was one of the issues. So for the rest of Asia, the offers that some of the players got was not too different from what they're already making here in the PBA. So it was not worth it. But like I said, we haven't gotten, and like what the offers that they will get from Europe, for example, now that's going to be different. But there hasn't been really until Kai Soto. I know that the offers Kai Soto got from Spain and from elsewhere, I saw those offers were very good, was very good money. But other than that, the European leagues have not really made any offers to any of the Filipino players. Not that I know of officially, that is.
Dice que las ofertas de Europa no llegan tanto a Filipinas, que no le han llegado tantas ofertas, que sí le llegó una Kai Soto muy buena de Europa, de un equipo español, pero que no reciben ofertas de Europa. Sí reciben de otros países asiáticos, de Japón, de China específicamente, que se paga muy buen dinero, pero que los jugadores, quizás porque se sienten mucho más cómodos en su ambiente y en su cultura, porque hay una gran diferencia cultural entre la vida en China y la vida en Filipinas, pues deciden a veces rescindir un poco de dinero y quedarse en las Filipinas, que las ofertas que le hacen de Japón o de Taipei y demás no son muy superiores a las que pueden recibir en Filipinas. Las de China sí, pero muchos jugadores optan por quedarse jugando en Filipinas.
Vincent, dentro de poco se va a jugar nada más y nada menos que el Mundial de Básquet en Filipinas. ¿Cómo se están preparando? ¿Qué expectativas tienen? ¿Cuáles son los sueños que tienen como selección nacional? Y me imagino que en un mundial en Filipinas va a ser el récord de gente que va a ir a ver los partidos, ¿no?
Pablo is asking about the World Tournament that is going to be held in Filipinas in 2023, I think it is.
Yes.
How are you guys preparing for that? What are the expectations? What, as a national team, what are the dreams that you guys have and are working towards? And he suspects that you're going to be establishing all type of attendance record in those games.
Yeah, well, first of all, the logistics very important. They are, like I said, we already have the 50,000 seater. We have several 20,000 seaters, and then I think they're going to build one more because the hosting is going to be split among Manila, Indonesia, and Japan. But in the playoffs, from the quarterfinals onwards, it's all going to be in Manila. And we expect the US, of course, is going to be there in the playoffs, the Team USA, and they're going to play in the 50,000 seater, and we're pretty sure that will be a sellout every game, every time the USA plays there, or a team like Argentina, a very popular team, and Spain are very popular teams here in the Philippines. So the preparation is on the logistics end, for the stadiums. It's all there. But the bigger preparation really is the kind of team that Coach Tab Baldwin, as the program director, is going to build. So there's a lot of discussions ongoing. There's a lot of preparations ongoing. And, you know, everybody is very excited. The entire country is very excited to watch it. And you know, and like you said, here in the Philippines, I mean, I've gone to, even in the World Cup, in the different stadiums where we played, if Spain wasn't playing, if there was no Team USA playing, the gym was not really that full, except for the fans of the teams that were playing. But I think here in Manila, when you see, even if there's no Philippine team playing, even if there's no USA team playing, but if, you know, Argentina plays, Brazil plays, you know, I think that the fans will fill the stadium with Filipinos, with just Filipinos coming to watch, because the Filipinos are very sophisticated in basketball. They're very intelligent. They know really good basketball. So they're going to come and watch really good games.
Bueno, habla primero en términos de logística. Obviamente cuentan con ese estadio de 50,000 personas, cuentan con un par, con uno más de 20,000, y están construyendo otro más de 20,000 personas. Dice que aunque el torneo se va a dividir entre Manila, Filipinas, Indonesia y Japón, desde los cuartos de finales todo se va a jugar en Filipinas, en Manila, y obviamente cuando juega el equipo de Estados Unidos lo van a poner en el estadio de 50,000 personas, y él espera que esté lleno a capacidad, que cuando juega Argentina, España, equipos que son también muy conocidos y reconocidos en las Filipinas, también se va a llenar. Él recuerda que en España, cuando jugaba Estados Unidos o cuando jugaba España, se llenaba el estadio, pero si jugaban otras dos selecciones que no tuvieran tanto seguimiento, el estadio estaba a medio llenar. Eso no va a pasar en Filipinas. En Filipinas están muy emocionados con tener el torneo, por lo tanto, juegue quien juegue, los estadios van a estar a reventar, y que él piensa que la gente en Filipinas va a ir a ver buen baloncesto independientemente que juegue su equipo o no, porque son muy, conocen del juego, les encanta el juego y les encanta seguir el buen baloncesto. Y está el otro lado, entonces, que es el lado competitivo, donde dice que el coach Baldwin ya ha comenzado las reuniones, las conversaciones sobre cuáles son los planes a seguir, porque tienen, obviamente, teniendo el torneo en casa, tienen altas expectativas de lucir bien.
Carlos, a mí a mí me tocó en algún momento, creo que él jugamos en contra en un torneo en Brunei, por allá, con la selección de Arabia Saudita contra la selección de Filipinas. Pero lo que le quería preguntar es, ver un equipo de Filipinas jugando en un torneo que se hace en Dubái todos los años, un torneo internacional. Y como él dijo, Dubái, los países de Medio Oriente son como pequeñas Manila por la cantidad de filipinos que trabajan ahí. Obviamente la explotan a la cancha. Pero lo que me llamó la atención, que por eso es, no sé si es en todos los juegos lo mismo, es que empezaba el juego y cuando un jugador de Filipinas agarraba un rebote, cuando todavía faltaban 39 minutos, 50 segundos para terminar, la gente explotaba de júbilo y gritaba. Así los 40 minutos. Si en los partidos en Filipinas es así, porque la verdad que es una cosa absolutamente sorprendente.
Yeah, Coach. Daniel had the experience coaching in Saudi Arabia, coaching against your teams, and also watching the tournaments in Dubai, and seeing all the Filipinos that live around the Middle East, and they will go to a tournament or a game of the Philippines, and just explode because a guy took a rebound with 39 minutes to go in the game. They took the first rebound, and everything was an explosion. And every single play from then on was an explosion of jubilant emotion. Is it the same way when they are playing in the Philippines?
Oh yeah, times 10 maybe, because like I said, it's different when it's the national team. It's really different when it's the national team. They the crowd, the whole country gets behind it. So when we were playing in the World Cup, and the time difference was at this time 2-3 in the morning in Manila, and the television ratings were fantastic. I mean, people were up, they were all watching. I'll tell you a story. In the draw for the World Cup, the drawing of the classification for 2014, it was held in Barcelona. So the draw was made, the groupings were then afterwards they interviewed the coaches. So they interviewed the well-known coaches, the US coach, the European coaches, and then you could see on the FIBA how many were watching, how many views those interviews got. And then they also interviewed me, and the views were fantastic. And it was 3 in the morning in Manila at the time, and there were a lot of people who were up watching the draw. Just the drawing of flats. Filipinos were watching it here in Manila, just the drawing of flats. So you can imagine.
Sí, contestando la pregunta de Pablo, dice que sí, que la emoción es la misma y 10 veces la misma en Filipinas, y especialmente cuando juega el equipo nacional. Es algo increíble cómo se dispararon los marcadores, los ratings de televisión. Ellos jugaban prácticamente de madrugada en Filipinas cuando estaban jugando en España, y aún así se establecieron récords de audiencia. Y luego dice que cuando fue el sorteo que se hace previo para ver en qué grupo les toca, se fue en Barcelona, se transmitió a las 3 de la mañana en Filipinas, y comenzaron a entrevistar a los distintos entrenadores, y había un medidor de cuánta gente estaba conectada cuando están entrevistando al coach de Estados Unidos, a distintos coaches europeos, y cuando lo entrevistaron a él, se dispararon los medidores inmediatamente de que todo el mundo estaba conectado y viendo, y eran las 3 de la mañana allá en Filipinas, para que tengan una idea de cómo viven el basquetbol los filipinos cuando tiene que ver con su equipo nacional.
Hablando de la televisión, él está o estaba como presidente de una cadena de televisión, creo. Pregúntale, Carlos, a ver.
Speaking about TV, you were presiding on a TV station in the Philippines?
Yeah, after 2014, when I retired, I ran the TV network, a major TV network, the #1 sports network in the Philippines. And we partnered with ESPN, Carlos. And I did that until middle of last year, because, I said, up to 55, when I get to 55, time for me to no more corporate work. No more corporate
Only play
work.
golf.
Yes. play golf and just enjoy. And I have some businesses as well. I have my own executive coaching company, and my wife, we have another business. So yeah, you know, those are the things that I'm very busy with at the moment.
¿Y qué influencia? Carlos, traducí.
Sí, dice que fue presidente de la emisora número 1, después del 2014, que se retiró de entrenador, la emisora número 1 de deportes en las Filipinas. Él presidió, estaba dirigiendo esa empresa, pero él ya tenía como meta que a los 55 años iba a tomarlo con calma. De hecho, esta empresa era parte tiene un contrato como de colaboración con ESPN, y luego entonces hasta mediados del año pasado estuvo ejerciendo esa función, porque a los 55 él quería ya estar un poquito más liberado. De todas formas, se mantiene activo con una compañía que le da servicios a ejecutivos, se llaman Executive Coaching, o sea, de este tipo de darle motivación y servicios a ejecutivos de empresas, y que esa empresa está involucrado con su señora, y lo que decía Daniel, le gusta mucho jugar al golf.
¿Qué influencia tiene él hoy con Josh? Josh es su hijo, que ha trabajado en las selecciones nacionales junior, y creo que está como asistente de la selección mayor también. ¿Él influye mucho en su trabajo o trata de que sea Josh Reyes, no el hijo de CHOT Reyes?
What's your influence on your son, Josh, who has been following your steps, coaching on the national team and all that? Do you influence him a lot, and you get involved a lot with what he does? Or do you want him to be Josh Reyes, not the son of CHOT Reyes?
Well, that's one of the reasons why I retired, because I really want Josh to create his own path and not be always because I'm there. You know, that's why he's there. So I don't influence at all what he's doing. Although when he was my assistant, I sent him really to be the number one, I think, in the entire country, in the Philippines. He is the number one expert on the dribble drive offense, in the dribble drive system, because I told him we sent him to the US several times to be the master in that. So, you know, but because that's the offense that we run for the national team. But other than that, I don't meddle in the decisions he makes on the coaching world, and that's the reason why I step back, because I want him to, so that he like Daniel said, he creates his name as Josh Reyes, really.
Okay. Dice que él, una de las razones por las que se retiró de entrenar era precisamente para que no estuvieran viendo que había una influencia de coach CHOT Reyes en su hijo, de que las cosas que él lograba las lograra por sí mismo, que sí, que no tiene ninguna influencia hoy día en lo que él hace como coach, que sí tuvo en un momento dado que la selección tenía como ofensiva principal el dribble drive motion. Él lo envió a Estados Unidos para que estudiara el dribble drive motion, y se ha convertido en el experto principal de esa ofensiva en Filipinas, pero que fuera de eso no hay ningún tipo de influencia, y que piensa que de esa forma se ha podido desarrollar mejor su hijo como entrenador. Coach, we're going to go at least for 2 more questions, and that's about it, because you have been so gracious. The time that is
no problem.
Right now in
No problem.
So a couple more questions and we'll let you go rest. ¿Alguna otra pregunta que tengan para el coach?
¿Cómo es si hay niveles de los entrenadores, si tienen una escuela de entrenadores, si la asociación de entrenadores tiene una escuela y otorga certificaciones por distintos niveles que les permite trabajar en los colegios, en la universidad, en el profesional?
Yeah, do you have the coaches association? Do you have a coaches academy, and do you work by levels? Do you have like level 1, 2, or 3, depending on whether to be coaching high school, college, or in the pros?
That is what we don't have now, that kind of certification system or a licensing system. We don't have that. And I know the federation is working on that right now. There is no official academy yet, but there is an organization, sort of an organization where they go around and they give a lot of coaching education and coaching clinics in the provinces. So hopefully the result of that is going to be an actual classification and certification system. But that's something that we really need right now.
Sí,
So right
dice
now,
que no
entonces,
tienen el sistema de certificación o de licencias por ahora, que la federación está trabajando en eso, que sí han tenido no una escuela de entrenadores como tal, pero sí entrenadores que han ido a distintas partes de la nación a darle talleres a los coaches y que esperan que eso sea el próximo paso porque sí están necesitados de tener eso.
o sea que, por ejemplo, él habló que él lo envió a su hijo a Estados Unidos a capacitarse y mañana hay una posibilidad de un trabajo y el que vende verdura en la calle puede ir al mismo lugar que su hijo que se fue a capacitar a Estados Unidos.
In other words, you just talked about sending your son to the U.S. To get better in coaching, right? And learn other techniques in coaching. But if tomorrow there's a job open in a professional team in the Philippines, and there's a salesman that had never coached a day in his life, does he have the same chance of becoming the coach of that professional team that your son that have to go through the process of learning how to coach?
I don't know if he will have the same chance if he has no background, but nothing will stop him. Nothing will stop.
This is the
him
point.
or
This is the point.
nothing will stop him or any other team from hiring. You're right. Some salesman off the street to be a coach. There is no nothing will prevent that from happening.
Obviamente
That's
no tendría el mismo bagaje cultural en lo deportivo que su hijo, uno que se preparó y uno que no, pero no hay regla alguna que le impida a un equipo profesional agarrar a una persona que no tiene experiencia, que sale de la calle a dirigir en el nivel profesional.
Manny Pacquiao compró un equipo y creo que jugaba y era el coach, puede ser, que también era el coach.
Was Manny, we know that he was the owner of one team. Was he the coach and a player also? Or
Yeah, he was owner, coach, player, everything.
He was everything. Era todo.
One team, yeah, but just for a short while, yeah.
Pero fue por un rato nada más.
Pero a Manny Pacquiao cualquier cosa se le permite en Filipinas, ¿no?
But you would allow Manny to do anything he wants in the Philippines, right?
Pretty much. Pretty much.
Bueno, vamos a descansar, Pablo y Daniel.
Sí, Pablo me mandó un mensaje que se le cortó internet, se le cortó la luz, internet, así que lamentablemente no lo vamos a tener para despedirlo. Explicarle que Pablo tuvo un problema técnico y le dejó muchos saludos y obviamente un gran agradecimiento.
Yeah, Pablo had to leave because he didn't have any more internet at the moment. Maybe electricity was cut or whatever at his home, so that's the reason he's not going to be able to say farewell to you. But he appreciates a lot you being here with us. On my behalf and on the behalf of our colleagues, I'm very, very happy to have been able to talk to you. You are a legend, Coach, and we admire and we respect you a lot. So thank you so much, and I'll let it to Daniel to say a farewell to you.
Bueno, no, indudablemente hay que agradecer su predisposición, no hay ninguna, pero si uno antes tenía un poquito de duda, no hay ninguna duda que Filipinas es el lugar para nosotros, para lo que amamos el baloncesto, es el lugar en el mundo. Tendrían que hacerla un poco más grande para que podamos ir a vivir ahí, todos los amantes del baloncesto vivir ahí, y agradecerle, indudablemente son ahora las 3:15 de la mañana y él está muy feliz hablando con nosotros de baloncesto, si bien creo que todos nosotros somos unos enfermitos y unos locos, que haríamos a lo mejor lo mismo, pero bueno, no tengo palabras para agradecerle y esperemos que lo tengamos algún día en Argentina, que está invitado para venir a Argentina a hablar de baloncesto, a sentarnos a tomar un café o no sé qué es lo que toman los filipinos, ¿no?
Daniel says that he doesn't have the words to say how much he appreciates you being and at the time that you're doing it, because he says even though we're sick about basketball and we're crazy about basketball, and I think we would do the same, but you being able to be there at 3 o'clock in the morning just talking about basketball. He appreciates that a lot. He would love for all of us that are crazy about basketball to be able to move to the Philippines, because it's a dream come true to live in a country where basketball is the #1 sport. And he also invites you to visit Argentina whenever you want, to either have a cup of coffee or drink whatever you want to drink. But you are more than welcome to come to Argentina. And I would add, you're welcome to come to the US or to Puerto Rico, because we would love to have you. So thank you so much, Coach.
Yeah, just make sure I have Malbec, that you have a very
Oh,
good Malbec
yes.
for me, Daniel. Some good Malbec.
Sure. Hey, I
Malbec
remember.
que quiere.
Sí, yo recuerdo que lo llevé al hijo a comprar Malbec, porque él iba a llevar Malbec al padre.
He remembers taking your son to buy Malbec to bring it to you back in the Philippines.
Yeah, when coming from Buenos Aires in 2004, Malbec was unknown here in the Philippines.
Okay.
So I brought a few bottles here, and now it's one of the more well-known. I made people aware of Malbec. It's very good.
encargado de que
wine.
Malbec tenga
Very good wine.
éxito en las Filipinas, porque cuando él visitó Buenos Aires en 2004 no se sabía de Malbec en las Filipinas, y él llevó, y ahora la gente es loca con el Malbec.
Seguramente, Carlos, en el 2003 estaremos muchos de los que estamos acá y esperemos acordarnos de llevar la valija llena de Malbec para él.
In 2023, a lot of us are going to be visiting your beautiful country.
Oh yeah, yeah.
We're going to have bags and bags of Malbec to bring to you.
Please, let me know when you're here. Anytime you're in the area, you're most welcome. Yeah.
Okay, Coach. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hasta luego,
Chicos,
señores.
nos vemos el lunes. Muchas gracias, Carlos.
Gracias a
Nos vemos el
ustedes.
lunes. Muchas gracias a todos. Gracias, Chot, de nuevo.